Good evening, Star Seeds. Hope you're having a wonderful evening. And we're going to start our Thursday thought experiments with your hosts, Eric and Jake. How you doing, Eric?
I'm excellent. How are you doing?
Actually, I'm having a really good day.
I just totally lied to you. I'm not excellent.
Tell me.
A manual labor job and my body's tired. And I'm over the hill.
You're not over the hill.
Sure I am. I'm over 40 now.
That's not over the hill.
Yeah, it is. I'm on my way to death now.
That's dying
slowly every day.
That's that bullshit conditioning, man. That is that bullshit conditioning. No, it is.
I'm teasing anyways, but yeah, I get you.
You know we can live like 120 years.
Honestly, as long as you feel good, like fucking live your life like you're 20 years old. Who gives a shit?
Thank you. That's the message. That is the message right there.
That's how I really feel, honestly.
But I get you. I just had back surgery. I'm basically in refusal to ever work a manual labor job again. It just took too much wear and tear on my body. I felt like I was, selling my body. I felt like a prostitute, straight up. Like,
well, unless it's your company, there's just no reason. I mean, general laborers, like, I feel for them. They just work for somebody else their whole life. Like, you got to start your own business. Like, get your, 10 years in when you're 20 to 30, sure. But then you better fucking start your own company and get off your ass. Like, you work till you're almost 40 for somebody else. Like, you gave your best years to somebody else.
I completely agree with you.
Nobody should do that. Nobody should do that.
I totally agree.
It's like, entering into a relationship when you're young. Like, you got to choose wisely because you're giving your best years to somebody.
That's
and not to mention, you're taking a woman, if you're a man, you're taking a woman's best years from her. If you know it ain't right, end it. So many people go through life and just I'll just worry about it later. Like, they stay at a terrible job or stay with a terrible person. Like, move on.
Sounds
something ain't right. Move on.
It sounds like you're speaking from experience here.
Oh yeah, I got tons of it. I've done every wrong thing in the book and learned the hard way.
Right. Amen to that, brother. Seriously.
Mm-hmm. But what's on the agenda today?
Kind of a little bit of an investigation.
What you got?
There's some weird stuff going on that I've been seeing. Let me see if I find that video again. I'm trying to get this stuff more organized. I really, really, really want this stuff more organized. But I'm have so much freaking content that I save that I've been I have so many apps I use to try to organize this stuff that I need to have a couple streams of thought and follow those and just work with that. But I tend to be a little crazy. So let's just start off with the wild stuff. It's kind of fun. I'm just going to pop it up here.
Also make sure... Okay, yeah.
You go ahead.
No.
And let me know if for some reason you don't have volume.
No, I can see it. I can hear it too, I'm sure. I could earlier.
Okay, so first off, I just want to state that this is a fake, okay? This is not a real video.
This is a really old one. I saw this one a long time ago.
Right, yes, it is old, but it's a fake. It is a fake, but it's old. So people are saying that it's 2007, and I think that might actually be the real date of this one. But still, 2007, what this guy talks about wasn't really in anyone's minds yet. So,
let's hear it.
Yeah, let's hear it.
I mean, it's a little ridiculous, but sure.
So that's just always this. It's always so. Here's the thing: is that first off, AI is getting incredibly powerful. I talk to it on a daily basis now. I use 2 different AIs to speak to. With ChatGPT, I talk to Meta about the metaphysical, and I talk to ChatGPT for facts. Like in class, I'm teaching science class, and if you don't know this, I haven't ever taught a science class before, not full time, and it just keeps me right on, like right there. They're incredibly powerful tools, and they get upgrades constantly. So, nonetheless, someone had made a prophetic video, or even if they just got lucky, you keep seeing this stuff. Have you heard all this stuff about alien disclosure lately?
What do you mean?
I've shown you all those videos. I've shown you so many videos of UAPs and government documents and stuff. Here, I'll show you this one.
What do you mean by disclosure?
Alien disclosure.
Meaning what?
That they're going to disclose that aliens are on Earth and they visit us all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Where did this video go? I just had it here. Yanked it in here just for us. Let's see if I can find it. I swear. This is a video. I'll just put this one up. I wanted to show you this one, so you can kind of get it. And when I talk about scale of things, you can watch this one. Pulling the next one up. This is really cool.
Wow.
It keeps going. And good old Beetlejuice, which is really close to us, actually. And if it blows up, it'll affect our system.
Holy shit.
That's how massive things are.
Wow.
The scales of things in the cosmos. There's always this talk about flat Earth, and I'm not sure I believe in flat Earth. I think that the idea that there's these gigantic fucking balls of fire out there are kind of more likely. Have you ever considered flat Earth before?
No, never.
No.
No.
Have you ever even heard about it?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So you know roughly the idea behind it?
Roughly.
Roughly.
Yeah, I think it's ridiculous, but whatever.
Here's the thing. Oh, I found that video. It's cool. It's got sound too. So you've heard me talk about the Dark Knight satellite, right? This is I found the footage of the Dark Knight satellite, or sorry, the Black Knight satellite. I call it Dark Knight satellite. I don't know why. I've always called it Dark Knight satellite.
Yeah, whatever.
But yeah.
Well, that's kind of rich and pretty spectacular. God, what is that there? That's hollow. What the hell is that? Don't tangle. That is kind of light, man. Oh boy, it is really something really fantastic here. You couldn't ever imagine
It's
this.
floating like space junk,
We know about that.
not a satellite.
Don't think the other way. Well, it's kind of rich and pretty spectacular. God, what is that there?
I think that video was taken in 1971 before there were any satellites up there, or very few.
It looked
There
like
wasn't-
space junk.
Yeah, but that thing's estimated to weigh 13,000 pounds. And could you imagine if you were out in space and you were looking at that thing in high fidelity? Even the astronauts are going, "Oh my God, look at that thing! What is it?" And it's rotating and stuff.
Yeah.
Just imagine if you were an astronaut and you saw some gigantic black metallic object, you know, that would have to blow your mind, even for an astronaut.
I mean, they're not very high up.
Huh?
It could just be space trash, man.
I mean, it could be, but there's been two, like, except we've spotted this thing and it moves. It's been in like 3 or 4 different orbits, and now it's at Lagrange point 4, which is like some millions of miles away, like past the moon. And we can, and like it's moved its orbit. It's been in a east to west orbit, and then it was in a polar orbit, and then went back to an east to west orbit, and now it's out at Lagrange 4 orbiting, like the way our most advanced satellites orbit now. And I think the reason why it moved is because our space tech got so advanced they had to get out of there. Like they had to move that thing.
Maybe. It's very possible.
I mean, you know, if you were an alien or if you're advanced, like let's just say it's even advanced tech. You know, a lot of times we hear that governments are like 100 years ahead in tech, and that's just what we see is, you know, like stuff that they don't care about so much anymore. I imagine if that's just 100-year-old tech and it's been up there for a really long time, but it's also got satellites have degrading orbits. And they put off signals, and it has a degrading signal on it that says it's 13,000 years old. There's all this crazy stuff about that particular piece of space junk. It's not just a piece of space junk. I'm not saying I know what it is. We call it the Dark Knight satellite, or the Black Knight satellite, but that doesn't mean it's not space junk. But it's space junk that sure as heck moves really funny. I'll tell you that. So in here, this is the next video for that one. If you can see this. This is September 2019.
Yeah, this is Starlink.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, Elon sent up a whole fuck ton of satellites for Starlink.
But that is just Starlink. Do you have any idea how many satellites are up there right now?
No, I have no idea.
It's nobody knows. Nobody knows. There's so many freaking satellites up there. But just to be able to see one company's project, how many satellites they have up there. That if you think about how many satellites we have up there, like that Black Knight satellite doesn't feel safe up there anymore.
Well, I mean, space is ginormous, man. Like,
yeah, but we have the technology where we can track them all, and we know where they all are at all times, and like everybody, like, so this is really interesting. I really like this topic. It's really cool. So we all know that we have space lasers. We have like space topography lasers. We have all these different kinds of crazy like energy weapons and defense weapons and optics and radars and all, just unimaginable techs just floating around up there, right?
Yeah, there's all kinds of shit.
Yeah, and like so much of it that it's essentially a huge swarm around Earth now. I mean, space is so vast that they don't bump into each other, particularly when they keep track of them. And a lot of these things have, navigation systems and stuff in them so they can move around. But nonetheless, like this stuff is up there. It's really doing their thing. And like there's no denying that there's all this tech and stuff. So if you're that Black Knight satellite, you probably would want to get the F out of there. Right? Like they could just shoot a laser at you. They could go dock with you. Like they could steal you and bring you back down to Earth and inspect you. But that never happened. So that kind of tells me that it is some kind of advanced tech. Because if it can dodge our best guidance systems and best weapons, and now we know it's out so far that we can't even get to it, but we can still see it, something more to it. Something more than meets the eye. That's all I gotta say.
Maybe.
And also, I'm beginning to think that maybe we have, there's been some of this technology around for a lot longer than maybe we expected. This was, have you ever heard of the Baghdad battery? Actually,
I have heard that before, actually.
Yeah. So this is actually,
Yeah.
This battery here is on display. This is in a museum in Iraq. And, you know, in some of these Middle Eastern countries, they're really careful about some of their old findings, and they hide them, and they don't give them to U.S. government. And I would say that even some of the U.S. government has started wars over some of this technology under the guise of oil, would be my guess. And, like, this was a household item in Iraq. So, and they say that it's only 2,000 years old. And this thing can put up to 3 volts. So apparently...
That's impressive if that's 3 volts.
Yeah, I know. You know, it kind of maths, though, with that large of a battery, with that, like, large of a cathode, if you put... like, if you filled that, you know, with electrolytes, that would easily put off 3 volts. Like, you could probably make them, and if they made it, if that was 3 volts, then I bet you they had ones where they chained them together and they could do even more voltage, you know. And they probably lasted a long time too, because they were probably like really low watt and were really easy to refill. So like this is actually a theory of mine, is that some of these ancient civilizations were alchemical. Like, maybe they didn't really understand chemistry in the same way that we did, but they didn't really need to get the
cause and effect at that point.
Right, but maybe a little bit more advanced than cause and effect. Like they clearly had advanced mathematics. Like we're now finding evidence that, like, so if this was in someone's house, right? Like and this powered something in someone's house. Like, let's say that they had like these things chained up and produced enough power to do a small mill, like a grinding mill or something like that, right? You know, like, I'm not trying to like blow your mind with crazy technology just yet. This is just some basic shit that they had around their house. It wasn't powering fucking TVs. It was probably powering something like a mill or a water pump, those kinds of things.
Yeah, or a loom or something.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, something simple. Probably like some kind of like either stone or soft metal gears, even things like that. You know, things that maybe would not have lasted. And there's been some evidence of these kinds of things. Like, not all in one place necessarily, but things that are that old, once you start putting all this technology together, they clearly had technology that we didn't have a couple hundred years ago. Like, they were more advanced than some of our civilizations after the Dark Ages. Actually, I'm getting there. That's not. I don't think that's really true, and I'll tell you why here in a minute. But so they clearly did have some of this tech. Now, if you take into consideration that sites nearby that are ascribed to have the same time frame, like 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 years ago, have these super advanced, stones and metals and melted jade, and then reformed, and these things are made with precision that we can't even replicate today. So let's say that not everybody in Iraq at the time had the advanced technology, but a little bit of that technology got down to them, right? While the ruling class did have really advanced tech. Like, this is what I'm starting to think, is that the ruling class most certainly had wild-ass tech, and that the technology disparity is roughly the same as what it is today. They could spin mercury, power whole cities with pyramids. And here you have the slave class, essentially. They gave them batteries so they could run their mills, so they could do the work for them. You get it? You seeing where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, isn't it just like 2 and 2? Like, I'm not trying to like talk wild here. I'm not trying to come up with some crazy conspiracy. This is just the shit that they keep finding out there. Like, how much of this stuff do they have to find before they go, okay, yeah, the ruling class had all this crazy tech, and the laborers got the batteries and the looms, you know? It's not all that different than today, is what I'm starting to say.
Yeah, that totally makes sense.
Okay, cool. So, now, I don't know, you've heard me talk about the Tartarians, right?
Vaguely.
The free energy stuff. Around the turn of the century, all the old photos. I'm kind of getting into it, so I wasn't looking at my photos. I'm gonna try and find some of my photos. But yeah, I mean, even, I think that they were melting stones back then. In fact, they probably just poured them. Like, they poured these kinds of stones. Like, the technology they had back then is, like, just, like, undeniable. It may not be the same...
If you were pouring stone, you wouldn't do it like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you would.
Why would you need to make it into a shape? Why not just, if you're going to pour it, you would just pour it like concrete? No,
I'll tell you why. That they're finding out that these structures are far more stable, and as you can tell, they are. How many times have you seen Portland cement that's thousands and thousands of years old? We do see a little bit in Rome, but it's far more degraded than this. And here's the thing, is that this stuff isn't poured like concrete. You're talking about dolerite. Like, you're talking about, like, stuff that has been dustified.
You would need, like, self-healing concrete. Or...
My guess is that this kind of stuff is dustified mixtures of stones that are purpose built for these kinds of walls. But here's the kicker, is what they're finding out with AI is that these are superstructures that we don't even understand why they built them this way, but that if you wanted to build naturally into walls like this and have them last forever, that they actually replicate a lot of stuff that we see in life, like corn on the cob, beehives, and that they took these and they are engineered to be these superstructures, and that every stone has its mathematical place. That it is not as chaotic as it looks. That it's all very purposeful. This is what they're finding out. So, like I said, just more to the fact that this technology is undeniable. Like they can't get around it now. There's too many guys going out there with all sorts of advanced measurement technology that we didn't have 20, 30 years ago, and their minds are getting blown. Like, oh my God. Like I was telling you about the Barbar Caves and how the AI goes, oh yeah, these are these super symmetrical shapes that you guys don't even know about that are in the mathematics, and they're like, oh, okay, like we didn't even know those shapes existed. Okay, so here we go. So now, you've heard of the Chicago World Fair? Have you heard of that stuff? It's an old conspiracy with the free energy and all that kind of stuff. Well, yeah. Unfortunately, I did not get around to saving this stuff this week, but what they're finding out is that these buildings, and they're finding a lot around England right now. There's people going around, like, digging in the streets of England and trying to dig these buildings out in, like, the middle of the night. Like, no joke. And they're finding that these buildings are way taller than they expected. Like, it looks like the ground... It's not. These buildings go way deep underground. The dirt has been built up around these buildings. Let's see here if this is one. And that it's very likely that a lot of these old structures are far, far older. And again, what they're doing is they're taking this advanced technology, or the new technology that we have is measuring stuff, and in particular, they're taking stonemasons, right? Like the best stonemasons in the world that study this stuff. They are bringing them out to these sites, and they're having them test like the surface of these stones that these buildings are made of, and they're finding out that the wear patterns are not consistent with these buildings being 150 years old, that they're far older, way older. So this whole thing about these things being like only 100, 150 years old is BS. And now, let me show you this. And then I'll lay off for a minute once I show you this. Is this the right one? No, that's not the right one. Where'd it go? Just had it. Aha. So, I've been finding a bunch of these. You notice the difference? Zoom in.
I mean, now, the lettering.
Right. But do you notice what they did there?
I mean, they added something in the middle. It's too hard for me to see it on this.
Okay. They added 1,000 years. And this is actually, the funny thing is, I think this picture is actually fake. But like I said, I've found a bunch of them, and I'm having a hard time getting my stuff organized. But they're finding this all over the place. That they're looking at old photos and new photos, and they're finding that a lot of these buildings, the dates on them were changed, and that this building was built in, you guessed it. What is that? 811, I think. I don't know. I forget the Greek on it. I read an article about it. But anyways, they added 1,000 years, right? So this building was supposedly built in the 1800s, and you look back at these pictures, and they weren't built in the 1800s. They were built in like 800 AD. These things are 1,000 years old, and they were maintained by a civilization for a very long time. Because there's no way that these buildings would have stayed without maintenance, and that even the ability to learn to maintain them has been lost. And that's the reason why we don't build them anymore, is because civilians have lost that technology. It was there, and it's not there anymore. Chicago World Fair. And I haven't actually looked all that much into this as like the Chicago World Fair, but I keep seeing these pictures of buildings that are so advanced, so old. They've got just they got the craziest features to them. Like, it's just unreal. Like, why do these things have these features? Like humans don't build structures for no reason. They don't spend extra money on things for no good reason. They're not going to like go out of their way on every building that they build to put these weird looking, energy towers at the top of them that look like they're part of an electrical tower,
I mean, yes and no. There are some pretty random, weird things that have been built for no particular reason,
sure,
other than how it looked cool.
Sure, to some degree. You could convince me to some degree. But once I start seeing this vast amount of pictures of these structures that are clearly built with it, this is another one that had a date on it that got added. I saw the original. This one's got the millennia date on it as well. And this is, but just look at that structure. We don't build these things anymore.
No, of course not.
Now, imagine if this structure is actually 1,000 years old. Could you imagine?
But times a change, and et cetera, right?
Yeah, but all I'm asking you to just be open-minded, Eric. I understand that you've got to play devil's advocate a little bit. That's just your nature.
Always.
I totally understand. And I'm skeptical too. Like, I don't know. Maybe, like, something tells me that maybe that they're not that old, but like the dates were swapped up at some point. Okay, so this is the last video I'm going to show you tonight. I'm just going to let it run. It's a longer one. And actually, I'm only going to play like the first half of it. It's a longer one, and I don't want to torture you. Oh shoot, where'd it go? Let me grab it. Where did he go? Sorry, give me just one moment. Let me pull this. There it is. Okay, I know you're not always into the Bible stuff, but it's not so much about the Bible part as I care. It's just more that religious texts in the context of the videos that I'm playing. That most of these in this context, it's just more as for record keeping purposes, and you got to understand the influence that religion has on people, right? Like, it may not have a huge influence on you, but it's significant, right? As a significant, thing that guides humanity as a control mechanism, that they're just undeniable. Okay, so I'm gonna let it run.
1775 Bible shows that March is actually the first month of the year, and Sunday, yes, you heard right, is the first day of the week. Take a look.
So this right here is the Bible from 1775 telling us at the time that we used to have 13 months. The first month of the year is March! Look at all the way to the end, guys. There's 13 months. 13 months. First day of the week, Sunday. Second day, Monday. Look at that, seventh day or Sabbath, Saturday. This is the proof.
Okay, real quick, I just want you to know that Judaism is supposedly the oldest religion on the planet at the moment, and they still celebrate the Sabbath on Saturday. Sunday is not their Sabbath. It has always been Saturday. So that is true. Some of this stuff is just flat out true.
Sunday as the first day. March as the first month? That's not what any calendar I've ever hung on my wall has shown. The curiosity in me sparked. I wondered, if what I was looking at was true, why did everything change? Who decided to flip the script and shift the months around? And why does it feel like we might be out of step with the rhythm that was once so ingrained in our culture that it was worth printing in the good book itself? It was like finding a piece in a puzzle that I didn't know was missing. The more I thought about it, the more questions arose. What if the holidays we celebrate, the ones we've been told were based on ancient traditions, were actually aligned with a different rhythm, one dictated by this forgotten calendar? Take Christmas, for instance, often said to be a rebranding of pagan festivities. If we were following this old system, where would that leave December 25th? Would it hold the same meaning if it didn't coincide with the winter solstice as neatly as it does now? Could this alternative arrangement of time affect not just holidays, but our everyday lives? I'm not an academic with a wall of degrees, but that night, I felt a responsibility to learn more. There was a sense that by understanding the past, by peeling back the layers of changes and adaptations, I might find something essential. Something about how we connect with the universe, with each other, and how we find our place within the cycles that govern our existence. And so, I began a journey, one not through dusty library shelves or ancient ruins, but through the digital realm of information, armed with a newfound determination. I was ready to see where this old Bible's tale would lead me and what it might reveal about the world we think we know so well. Discovering that Sunday might actually be the starting point of the week necessitates a serious reconsideration of cultural and religious norms. It presents the startling
I just want to back up on that one real quick. So this is the Jewish days of the week. And you know me, I know this kind of stuff. I worked in the Jewish community for quite some time. And some of this stuff is just straight up, I've been reading about this stuff. This video actually just confirms a lot of the research that I've done without having to put it together myself. So, I already know all this.
Of cultural and religious norms. It presents the startling idea that the day we traditionally dedicate to rest and religious observance could indeed be Saturday. Such a perspective carries weighty implications for contemporary religious customs, hinting that widespread practices might not align with this historical viewpoint. Astrologically, the impact of such a shift cannot be understated. Each day's energies are traditionally tied to a celestial body, which, according to astrological systems, can influence human affairs. Misalignment between our constructed week and this celestial ordering might disrupt the intended flow of cosmic energies into daily life. For adherents of astrology, this calls into question the very foundation of their practice, suggesting a need for a thorough reassessment of how days and their corresponding planetary energies are observed and honored. This raises the fundamental question: who was it that altered the configuration of our week, thereby altering the fabric of our lives? The catalyst.
And there's really some truth in what he just said. I don't really buy into the whole astrology part of it. But nonetheless, Saturday is Saturn, and Judaism has their Sabbath on Saturday, and they are Saturn worshippers. It's just fact.
For such a change is not immediately evident. It may have been an incremental process influenced by the shifts in religious and secular authorities over the millennia, or it might have been an intentional move to distance contemporary practice from ancient traditions.
One of the things Constantine did was because he wanted the pagans to worship God, Jehovah, was he moved the day of worship to the day of the sun, which is why we now worship on Sunday. Because Sunday became a pagan day.
One thing is clear. There seems to be a deliberate discrepancy between our current temporal structure and that of historical records. though the motivations behind this are still veiled in mystery. The departure from the calendrical structure as outlined in the 1775 Bible could imply that many facets of our daily existence are misaligned with both historical precedent and perhaps celestial design. This misalignment extends to significant dates of observance. The timing of festivities such as Christmas and Easter, for instance, might not truly reflect their original intent or season. Contemplating a realignment with this historic calendar suggests the possibility of returning to a way of life that is more authentic, perhaps closer to spiritual principles that have been overshadowed over time. It prompts us to consider whether a shift in observance to align with historical records could reconnect us to a spiritual authenticity that has been eroded. This discourse is not merely about adherence to religious rules or speculative astrological theories. It centers on our alignment with the natural and cosmic order that may predate contemporary calendars. Choosing to follow this route is about much more than date correction. It's a quest to uncover a harmony with the natural world that may have been lost. As we delve further into the contents of this ancient text, we have to wonder what further insights it may offer, and in what ways these could revolutionize our current understanding.
I'll pause it there. It's quite a long video, and just kind of go over some stuff real fast.
It is very interesting, though. I mean, I believe it 100%. The real reason why it was changed and why everybody fell in line?
Well, from some of the ancient calendars, we definitely know that there were 13 months, and it actually lines up perfect because 13 months leads to a perfect 28 days. Every month has 28 days, and all the solstices line up way better with the beginnings of months, and so even just from a record-keeping standpoint, that like I said, I am sometimes a little skeptical about the cosmology thing. I'm beginning to believe. Let me put it that way. I'm beginning to believe. In fact, I believe it a whole lot harder than I say it on this podcast. But I don't want to dig into it. I feel like that does get a little too crazy until I've given 5 podcasts about it, because that's just how much content there is to dig into on a topic like this. But just from a record-keeping standpoint, our system makes no sense. The system that's in place now has most certainly been altered from every single ancient civilization and their calendar systems. And what we find is that I'm kind of getting back to this whole Tartarian thing. And these satellites have been around for a long time, that it really looks like they wiped out some time. And that they had to, in order to wipe out that time, they had to change our calendars. And then, then there's the other crazy...
We've got leap year, and we've got this, and we've got that, and this month has this... It's very nonsensical. It makes no sense.
No, and I've been doing some astronomy lately. I've always kind of been into that, but lately I've actually been looking at the stars, not just watching videos and reading books. I've actually been looking at the stars, and some of that stuff's starting to make sense to me. It just doesn't line up. Where things should be in the sky, where constellations should be in the sky at night, and where it just doesn't line up with the months the way they are. It's all been shifted. It's just totally been shifted. And that's this is fact. It just is. From our ancestors, all that stuff's been moved. Do you want to watch the rest of this, or do you just want me to drop this in the chat?
You can just drop it.
Okay. We can stop it there. That's a lot to cover in one night.
It's fascinating, though. It really doesn't make any sense. You got to wonder why.
I know why.
Well, why?
It's control. It's all control.
Yeah, but how does that really control us, though?
They control everything. They poison our food. They poison our air. We're a slave class, man. That's what I'm trying to tell you. We're their slave class.
Oh yeah, no doubt. You're 110,000% correct. Of course we are.
Sure. So it's just
so whatever the fuck we get into. Look at the taxes we pay in this country. Look at everything.
It's just control mechanisms, man. That's all it is. It's just these are all control mechanisms. It's just been refined over the millennia to the point where they've just wiped out whole bits of history. They won't let us dig it up, you know, that because they don't want us to learn. They don't want us to see that difference between the Baghdad battery and the pyramids. They want us to think that that's shit magic. They want us to be afraid of it. They want us to think that we can't handle it. You know, like, it's because then they'll lose control. Like if everybody had free energy, they wouldn't be able to buy us, you know? We wouldn't do their bidding anymore. We wouldn't do their work. Why they're so fucking evil and why they do this stuff, I couldn't tell you. That's the part I haven't figured out. Why they don't all just want to live in harmony. I'll never understand.
Profit.
But why? If everyone can have everything for free, what does it matter? Why monetize if you don't have to? If you could have everything you ever wanted. I mean, I have some guesses, but I can't say it on YouTube. That's going to be when I start my Patreon. I'll start talking about these things. Which I'm going to start a Patreon, and I'm going to start talking about these things because I'm tired of not being able to talk about it because of getting banned and getting my videos pulled and crap like that. But and I think I know who's behind it. And I think I know why they're behind it, and I think I know what they're going to do and why they're going to do it. But it's pretty dark, dude. And actually, at this point, like one of the reasons why I've been such a happy guy lately, and like kind of on this quest for love, is that, you know what? I'll end with this. This is what I'll end with. Is that if they have space lasers and they have time traveling spaceships, and they've had this technology, like let's say they're really more like 1,000 years ahead of us in technology, or more. Yeah. Then there's no way we can fight them. There's nothing we can do. The only thing we can do is love each other and come together and unite in unconditional love with humanity and nature and be absolutely defiant. And if they destroy us, they destroy us. Or otherwise, we're just going to live as slaves for eternity. It's the only way to break the Matrix. Is to stop fucking hating each other and love each other and ignore them. Just don't give them, don't feed it. Just walk away from the factories. Go into the fields, start working them, love one another, get off of work, play music together, build houses together, build them out of stone, and reclaim our lost humanity. That's what I think's occurring.
Yeah.
Yep. And you have any final thoughts?
No, all I would tell anybody is just keep your eyes open, think for yourself, first and foremost.
All right, then.
That's all I got.
All right, then I'll take us out. I love you all. You're all beautiful, and you're all more powerful than you know, and have a blessed life. And we're out.